There is uneasy calm in the Imo State chapter of the All Progressive Congress (APC) after the Court of Appeal in Abuja upheld the disqualification of Chukwuma Frank Ibezim as the party's candidate in the last Imo North Senatorial District by-election. This came barely 24 hours after the Supreme Court declared him the authentic candidate and winner of the APC primaries in the case of alleged certificate forgery. Now, who is APC candidate for Imo North? Inka?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't want to dabble into what I will not have the power to quote constitution and all that. But from the layman's point of view,
Okay.
the Supreme Court judgment supersedes all judgment. So, whether the appeal court says Chukwuma is the right candidate or not, that does not hold water. And unless lawyers will now tell us that the Supreme Court's judgment, which affirmed him as the candidate, is contrary to what the appeal court has said. But as far as I know, the Supreme Court is the last court of law that can pronounce on any matter. So if the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement, what the National Nigeria Judicial Council needs to do is, I don't know, is it that some of these judges, do they have what they call ongoing education, or from time to time they should training from time to time, so that they don't continue to give conflicting judgments. If an appeal court can give a different judgment from the Supreme Court judgment, how do we interpret it?
Okay, Babajide,
the issue is,
I want you to take us. It has gone through. Let me put it as maybe the technical side. I want you to just break it down. What happened? What is happening in Imo State?
the truth is, the Supreme Court ruled on who should be the authentic candidate of the party.
Okay.
Who should be the
authentic candidate of the party?
Okay.
Now, Frank Ibezim is the candidate of the governor, Hope Uzodinma. And they had been having this running battle with Senator Ifeanyi Ararume. Ararume will win in court. This person will go back to another court. Another court will give Ibezim judgment.
The judgment.
On the eve of the election, this judgment from courts of concurrent jurisdiction effectively ensured that APC had no candidate in the December 5 election.
Okay.
They had no candidate. PC went into that contest without a candidate, but they still
just the party.
Yes, but they still polled 36,801 to PDP's 31,903.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not surprised. We've seen people in detention win election in our country.
Yes.
You know, so the people were voting for party. I was not there to see the conduct of the election, but this was what happened. APC had no candidate. By the INEC guideline for the election, they had no candidate for the election. But the party still polled 36,801 to PDP's 31,903.
Okay.
Now, the issue before the Supreme Court was, did he get fair hearing? Was it right to have excluded him from the primaries? Remember, an earlier court ruled that Frank Ibezim was not part of the primaries.
Yes.
And because on the basis of that, affirmed that Ararume was the candidate of the party.
Okay.
But the Supreme Court upheld the argument of the lower court that he should have been joined, that Ibezim should have been joined in the suit, and that he was unlawfully excluded. Supreme Court affirmed that Ibezim was the candidate of the party. Now, 24 hours after Supreme Court gave that judgment, the appeal court affirmed that he did not have, that he forged his documents, he forged his papers. You know, there are different matters now.
Yes.
I'm confident that even this second matter will still get to Supreme Court. You know, it will still, the issue of certificate. So the appeal court argument is that Frank Ibezim, who has now been declared as the candidate of the APC, forged his papers. Now, what is left is for the two parties to return to court, because the Supreme Court will eventually now have to decide.
Okay, let me ask you again. This will take me back to what Yinka Oyebile said earlier. That there's no how we can be running it like this. That we will need like a better coordination within our courts.
No, there are different matters. That's what I'm saying. Listen to me. Different matters. If someone takes the matter that the Supreme Court ruled on was the matter of primaries.
Okay.
Primaries. This is a matter of eligibility. The matter was on who should have been the candidate of the party. That's what Supreme Court ruled on. This other matter is on certificates. That is, certificates were forged. That was not the issue before the Supreme Court when they gave that judgment. You get the point that I'm making. So if there are two different matters,
yes,
you know, you cannot then say, oh, they had heard with, because the ruling was on a different matter.
Okay.
So, and if you won in Supreme Court, on the issue of who was supposed to be the candidate that won the primaries, and later on they discovered that it's forged documents, and they file a matter, you then must defend yourself, defend your new status, that yes, I'm the candidate of the party, I did not use forged documents. So those are two different matters. So the second matter now will still eventually get to the Supreme Court, which at that point the INEC may now be forced to declare the person who came second, that's the candidate of the PDP, the winner of the election. Because I've always said that that the and it's because they couldn't decide on who indeed won the primaries. There were two factions. When you have two factions in a party, this sort of thing will happen.
Talking about the internal democracy within the party, and this has affected APC a lot. It's recurring decimal when you see what happened. I don't know, I will not put River State, that they will just go to courts, pre-primary case, you have post-primary election cases here and there, and at the end of the day, they will drag it to the extent that now a party is having
it happened also in Zamfara.
The party is having the ticket now, not even the tickets. The party has the the seats now.
Yes.
But there's no candidate.
You see, is the same thing happened in Zamfara. And it is surprising that the cliche that those who learn from history, who don't learn from history, are bound to repeat it. This has been a recurring decimal in the APC. I wonder why they have not been able to sit down as a party to say that, look, this problem that we are always having, how do we resolve it? You have 2 or 3 contending parties, contending forces in the same party. None of them can sit down and say that, look, for the greater benefits of the party, let us go this way. We have seen that we saw that in the Second Republic. In Oyo State, it was not Chief Bola, the late Chief Bola Ige that Chief Obafemi Awolowo wanted to be the governorship candidate. In Lagos State, I think it was the same thing. It was not the late Lateef Jakande that the Baba Awolowo wanted. But when they threw it open that, okay, let's have primaries, and they had a primary. They had the primaries. Those two candidates won. Even as the leader of the party, who has every right as the presidential candidate, as the leader of the party and everything,
To upturn.
he had to agree. So why is it that our latter day politicians don't want to learn from this kind of thing? Look, politics is a give and take game. You win today, I lose today. You win tomorrow, I lose tomorrow. That is the way it should be. And the way they are going, if you look at all the boil up to all this, it is always the same thing. One interested party feels that no, we are the sole owner of the party.
Across the 6 local governments of the states and the 64 wards, the 2 factions fielded candidates. Now, 24 hours to the election. 24 hours to the election. One of the parties got Ararume disqualified. So in the end, they didn't have a candidate for that election. By INEC guidelines, they had no candidate, but people still voted for the APC based on the results that we have. Now, the judgment of the Supreme Court was based on the fact that even in the lower court, Ibezin should have been joined in the matter. So the Apex Court said it was wrong of the lower court
not to have.
Yes, that Ibezin should have been joined. He then ruled in his favor. 24 hours after the Apex Court ruled in his favor that he was the candidate of the party, then the appeal court ruled that he forged his papers. It upheld the argument of the lower court that he forged his papers. Now, the question that I want to ask, there is always a screening committee before any election.
Exactly.
Senator Ben Uwajumogu, the late Senator Ben Uwajumogu, died on December 18, 2019. 1 whole year. 1 whole year, a party couldn't sort itself out and pick a candidate that will be unanimously agreed upon. 1 year, because the election was held in December of 2020. 1 year after the man died. You see some of the issues that we complain about. How did we come
division within the ranks?
Yes, how did they come to do 2 factions conducting primaries in the 6 local governments of the states? 2 factions. What will happen if candidates emerge?
I never knew that the APC had this kind of crisis in Imo State.
This is the most ridiculous of all, because now that the Supreme Court has affirmed that you are Arume, we struck out your matter. You are not the candidate of the party. It is Frank Ibezim that is the candidate of the party. 24 hours later. You know, it's so similar to what happened in Bayelsa. When we were at a point when we thought, APC had it sewn up. Then that matter came up. It was decided. So 24 hours after Supreme Court said, finally, Ibezim, Frank Ibezim, you are the candidate of the party, which means that the INEC should go ahead and give him the certificate of return. Then on a different matter, which is the issue of certificate, didn't they screen his certificate on the basis of certificate again?
Automatically, the PDP will be looking behind.
Of course, they are already pushing. They are already pushing that look. What's INEC waiting for? That they should give the man certificate of return. That's what they are saying.
We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay with us. It's your favorite program on TV, Journalist Hangout from the best TV station of the year, TV Studios. Now, Yinka, moving forward, APC must do something about their internal conflict, resolution, crisis resolution mechanism. One. Number two, APC seemed anytime you have this kind of case in courts, they seem to be at the losing end. Look at what happened to David Lyon.
Well, the best way to resolve this is to have a very good crisis resolution team. Either before it happens or immediately it happens, you have to look for how to make, in politics, contestation for space and offices are normal. In fact, that is the essence of politics. But when you have a party that finds it difficult to resolve such matters, this was what led to their loss in Zamfara. The same thing in Bayelsa and other places. So, I'm even surprised that even with all the power at the federal level that they have, is it that people who have ideas on how to resolve conflict are never given the opportunity to do so? Or is it that rabid lust for power that makes them to lose their sense of fairness to each other?
It's covered by interests.
Exactly.
Different interests, high-level interests.
So what exactly?
From the presidency down to the governor, down to there will be. I'm sure that Babajide, if you look at this, I'm sure that the interest involved,
most times,
most likely
interest
will set. Yes, selfish interest.
The parties should be able to thoroughly screen their candidates. I remember what happened in Kogi. It was a mistake that former chief of naval staff made. Just a mistake in his date of birth.
Yes.
And he was screened out for the APC.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
It was a mistake in his date of birth. And they screened him out. Because it will work against you in future if they don't do something. Now, since December 4, to show you how they ended up, I'm trying to explain to the viewers how they ended up not having a candidate in that election. It was on December 4 that Justice Ekwo of the Federal High Court disqualified Frank Ibezim on the argument that the documents that if he made false declaration, of his documents that he presented to INEC. Then, 24 hours to the same election, the appeal court sitting in Owerri disqualified Senator Ararume. So effectively, both candidates could not stand for election. Now, it is the judgment of the Federal High Court by Justice Inyang Ekwo that the appeal court led by Ubaka Yaya upheld that Frank Ibezim presented false document and made false declaration to INEC when he submitted his document. So now, the PDP candidate Emmanuel Okewulonu, I don't know how it's pronounced, Okewulonu, is waiting on the wings
to benefit
from another potential banana peel by the APC. The matter now has gone past the appeal court, so it's the Supreme Court that is left. If the Supreme Court agrees with the argument of the lower court that Frank Ibezim provided false information about his WAEC certificate, wherein the judge held that the names on the document were not only different but irreconcilable, then PDP will be warming up to benefit once again from another carelessness on the part of the APC. But the matter is in court, We
We'll
will not
wait.
we will not preempt the court. We'll wait for the court to
At the end of the day,
take their
we'll see.
decision.
Okay.